Well, welcome everybody. We're grateful to have you with us this afternoon. This is the 19th of April of 2023. I'm Don Snow. I'm in Provo, Utah, and Gerhard Roof is our host. He's president of our organization, the Utah Valley Technology and Genealogy Group, UVTAG, and he's in Orem. Today, our topic is city directories, and we want to discuss what they are and how you find them online and what you can do with them. These are classes that are open to the general public. They're no charge, and they last roughly a half an hour. At the bottom of the screen, what you're seeing there today is the URL, the website that's my website where my class notes are. And there is a whole set of notes on there for this particular class. And Gerhard also will be making a PDF copy of the notes and posting that in the chat on Zoom. If you're watching this on Zoom, and everybody's eligible to watch this on Zoom with no charge. And it's also on Facebook, and the link will be on Facebook in the comments. Okay, city directories. Let me click and tell you what we're going to be talking about. I'll show you where the notes are here in just a second because the details are in the notes here. We're going to be talking about what city directories are and a little bit about how you find them on the internet now, because many of them have been posted on the internet. Most of them are free, and they're available, and they're a great source for family history. We'll look at some examples of ones that I've downloaded, made copies of for myself and for my dad, mom, and families, and so on. And we'll look then at some sources online. There's a lot of city directories that are on Family Search. We'll show various ways to find those. Internet Archive has got bunches of them. And Internet Archive is an organization that posts things that are out of copyright, and so there's just lots of stuff, whether it's books, movies, magazines, TV shows, everything you can think of that's out of copyright is on there. Ancestry has major collections, and there's lots of others. You'll see on the notes lots of others on there. These are the class notes, or this is the link to where the class notes are. And I'll show you what these class notes look like here in just a second. But there's the URL for it, the website for it. It's UVTAG, Utah, that's Utah Valley Technology and Genealogy Group.org. And then under classes and Dawn's, there's several of us have classes and pages there, and I've got my class notes page there. Then dawns-classes.html. On there are notes and links to where you can see the past notes. The past notes on my case, they go back for many years, 20, 30 years. And there's how to see the recent videos, where they're located, and so on. Now, we'll actually take a look at what those notes look like here in just a second. But then we're going to be looking at demos, and this is what the demos will look like here in a second. Now, let me switch over and show you what the notes look like before we actually get into the demos. Let's see, Control Tag. I'm holding down the Windows, the Alt Tab, and I need to get to which one has. This is my class notes page. Now, you're probably used to seeing black on white. For me, because of my poor eyesight now with my macular degeneration, for me, it's easier to see this. This is light color, either white or yellow if it's a link on black background. But this is my class notes page, and that's where that link takes you to. At the top here, you'll see there's several pages, sub-pages with different things on them. As you scroll down a little bit, you begin to see more and more as to what's happening now. There's the links as to where to watch the classes or where to find the old ones, the classes. Here's classes coming up, and the very first one, number 1 here, is today's on city directories. I'll look at that here in just a minute. Then the class for next month is going to be on books online. And then for June, I haven't picked the subject yet. All the previous classes for the past ones, and all the notes are on here. There's the past classes from this year, the beginning of the year, and then there's past years here on all of these, so that you can go back and look at any of the past ones that you want to find. And the last time I taught this class on city directories was 2 years ago. And I was just astounded at how many links have changed and what has happened in the 2 years since I last taught it. So the notes that are on here from past 2 years ago are different than the notes that are on today's. Okay, so anyway, that's the link to it. And then I'll hold down my control key while I click on the link. Let's get the classes coming up here. Okay, there's city directories. Let's see if I can see my cursor. There's the cursor. I clicked on the cursor, and now I should be opening up, if I can get up there to that right there. Here are the notes for today. So this is online now, and so you're looking at what you can see. You can get to this by typing in that same thing. So there's an abstract here that tells a little bit about what the city directories are. And essentially, city directories are like telephone books before there were telephones. Various people published them. They did it, of course, for a commercial venture, and they would sell them. And it would list everybody in all the households, the businesses or the residents, who lived there, whether they owned the house, whether it was a business or not, and if it was a business, what they did, and who owned it, and so on. So you find lots of information in there. Many of them were published in the early days by just on the street itself, with the numbers in consecutive order from the numbering of the address. The examples I'll show you today, though, most of them are alphabetical by the name of the family. Now that they're online and in PDF, most of them are searchable, so that you can find the you can search either by address or by individual. And I'll show you examples of those here coming up. There's a welcome and an introduction, and there's the information about me. That's item 1 there. Gives my email address. If you're watching this 6 months from now on either YouTube or anywhere else, and you wanted to contact me, I'll be glad to try and answer questions for you. Then that's my address. Then there's a couple of other notes on here of various things about where the notes are stored, this URL, etc. And then item 4 is the problem for today. What are city directories, and how do you find and use them online? Now, here's some information about city directories. Let me scroll up here so that you can see all this stuff. We won't take time to talk about all this stuff now, but city directories are lists of residents and businesses in different cities. And they were done commercially because they would sell the volumes to people, because it would help them, help people know who they wanted to advertise to and all that sort of thing. But because of that, they're very handy for family history to know who lived where, and to find out even your own addresses. Where did you live in the early days, or where did your folks live? And the examples I'll show will be some of me and of my folks and so on. There are various ways to search for them online, and most of them are in PDF format. PDF is jargon, computer jargon for portable document format. It's a format that Adobe developed 30 or 40 years ago, but they let it go commercially, so or for free for everybody. And many companies and organizations have accepted that as a basis for using for putting out text information. The benefit of it is it doesn't change whether you're using a Mac or whether you're using Windows or Linux or whatever operating system you're using, or a computer. It'll look the same in a PDF format. It'll look the same on any one of those. But that causes problems, of course, because then you can't always read it. You can't it's not text, so that you can't type it in or copy it. There are ways, however, that if you get a non-searchable PDF, there are ways that you can download it. You can make it into a searchable PDF so that you can search for the words in there. The PDF format is just a picture of a printed page. That's why it looks the same on all devices. But there are programs, many free, which you can use to convert. Well, they call it the text layer. Put the text layer on top of the picture layer, so that it recognizes that different characters mean different things, whatever the language happens to be. In English, for example, if it sees characters THE, it says, oh, that's the word the, and it'll pick out the, so you can search with it through that. If you click on a PDF and it's not searchable, even though you can see a word there, and you click, you say search for that word, and it says that word doesn't exist here, it's only the picture of the page. It doesn't have the text layer on top of it. But there are free programs, and there's another whole story about how you do that. There's other notes of mine on my website that will tell you how to convert that to use to put the text layer on top of it so that it becomes searchable. Here are some sources of city directories. The first big block there is on Family Search. On Family Search, the city directories are in several different places. They're in Catalog, and I checked in the last few days how many there were. If you look in the catalog, go to Family Search and then search Catalog and type in city directory, and it turns out there's 20,000 hits for that. You can see the numbers are all in there. In the Family Search digital library, that's the books that are on Family Search. There's bunches that are all completely PDF'd. They're all there. I think it's 25,000, whatever the number is, it's in there. That's how many that when you type in the numbers that are there. Now, keep in mind that when you're searching in the digital library and you type in the words you've searched for city directory, you may end up with, you probably do unless you use special searching, you'll end up with any book that has the word city and directory on the same page, but they might not be related. It might say city up in the top left corner someplace, and way down in a paragraph down it may talk about the directory of this, that, and the other. So that doesn't, the number that's there does not mean that you're getting that many city directories, but there are ways around that. But just keep in mind what the search does for you. Also on Family Search, item 14, Family Search, you can find some city directories in historical records. And there's a bunch of them that are stored in there that have not been completely indexed or and so on. And there are several articles, wiki articles on Family Search that tell you about the city directories. Then there's a bunch of other sources here, and we probably won't take time to look at very many of these because the examples that I've got that I'll show you here in a minute have come from a lot of these different sources. A major source, item 16, is Internet Archive. Internet Archive is an online archive, singular, archive.org, is a website that is attempting to save all the stuff that's out of print online. They do screenshots, for example, of the whole internet every few days, and you can look and see what a website looked like 10 years ago if it was in existence then. But they've also stored many books, many manuscripts, TV programs, old movies, anything they can get that is out of print. I just donated to them 6,000 vinyl records that I had in my collection, so that they'll all the ones that are out of copyright now, they will record and make those available to everybody within the next few months. The ones that are in copyright, you'll only be able to listen to the first 30 seconds of each piece until they go out of copyright. But anyway, they're always interested in donations of stuff, and so I've given them whole bunches of things that I've got. But they have lots of city directories on there. Item 17 is My Heritage. That's a partner website with Family Search. They have major collections of city directories. The other items down there, Ancestry has a whole lot of them. And these city directories are not just for the US, but they're worldwide. They publish city directories in many different countries and languages. And so depending on what you're interested in, see what you can find on there. You'll find by just searching for city directories and the name of the country you're in or the name of the city, you'll find lots of them. Anyway, look at all those different sources. Now, a lot of these sources I haven't checked recently because I made up this list 2 years ago and it was accurate then, but they changed so many different times, so many different things that some of these may not work now. If you find a link that doesn't work now, copy that link and paste that into Google and do a search, and you may be able to find what the new link is, where that takes you to. Now, then there's some articles and lists down below here on this, more stuff than you'll ever want, but it's loaded with information for it. Then the conclusions are down here at the end. Okay, now let me look at, let's go back to, that's my phone that's ringing, and I thought I'd turned it off, but I didn't, but I'm not going to answer it now. Let's go back to, let's see, an Alt Tab and go back to here, the demos. I'm going to turn my phone right off because they won't hang up. I just hung it up. The demos, we want to look at examples of this. And so let me just switch over and show you some examples that I've got. They're on my computer here already. Alt Tab, and let's see, which one have I got the examples in? Is it this one? I think it's this one. Yeah. Now I'm going to have to turn on the magnifier because my eyesight is so poor. So this is, I'll turn it back off again, but I'm turning it on so that I can see what I'm doing here for a minute. This is what's running now is a program called Everything. If you've been with me before on some of these classes, you've heard me talk about this because I use it all the time. It's free and it is so good. It'll search for whatever's on your hard drives and look for the whole thing. Now, what I've searched for up here at the top, you see I've typed in here Eldon Snow, that's my dad, Eldon Snow, and then the word directory. Now, what has come up are these different websites. I'm showing you pictures of them. You can have it show you just details of the picture, or you can have it show the whole thing. I'm showing the picture. And so on here, this is one that's, this is with my dad, Snow, Eldon Stafford. He was born in 1891, died in 1954. And then whatever the date was, it's on here. That's the rest of the title of this thing. That will show that. If I click on that, now over on the right side, farther over here, over here on this side, this is what's in that picture. Now, my magnifier is on so that I can see this. This was a picture of the US city directories from, let's see, it's 18 something to 1995. And I think this was from Ancestry, as I recall. I typed in my dad's name, and here's some of the stuff that's in there. And there's an example of one of them. So that's a PDF that I had actually copied off on there. Here's another one. If I click on this one and then go over here to the right to show you what this is Eldon Snow in the city directories. That's more details of that, the same one. Let me go down here. I'll scroll down and show you, is it this one? Let me check and see if it's this one. Yeah, this is a picture. Now I've got my magnifier on here, so that's why it's showing this in large print, larger. You could probably read this, but without the magnifier on. But for me, I have to have the magnifier on. This is actually a city directory that included Los Angeles, California, and North Hollywood, where we lived. And my dad and mom are listed in this second column down right around someplace right down in here. You'll see Snow. Maybe you can see it easier than I can. You'll see Snow, and then there was an Ann Snow, and I can't see where it is. It's right in here somewhere. And then
near the top of your page, Don.
Right. Well, right
Eldon
there.
and Mary.
That's it. That's my dad. You see the snow is in the just to the left, just a little bit above that. And there's Eldon Snow and Mary, that's my mom, and says he's a dentist. And it's got our address, 4285 Beck Avenue. That's where we lived in North Hollywood. And so this is a directory. I've forgotten what year this was. It'll say in my in the label of it. But that's an example of a directory. Now, this is one where they actually did them alphabetical, like a phone book. Notice there's no telephone numbers in here. But this is, my dad was a dentist. He went to USC, to dental school in Los Angeles, and stayed down there afterwards. So that's why I grew up in Los Angeles. He's from St. George, Utah originally. Now, as I read through this and glanced through it, I looked down here on the other side. Look at this down here, this big ad down at the bottom of the next page, Langlands and Shade. Do you see that, Langlands and Shade? That was the record store that I worked at in North Hollywood while I was in high school. I went around North Hollywood looking for a job and talked to them at Langlands and Shade. They said, well, we were thinking about hiring a stock boy. And they hired me, and I worked for them for, I think it was 3 years, all the time I was in high school, going to North Hollywood High School. Langlands and Shade. I just noticed down here yesterday as I was looking at this, since 1923, I didn't realize that the store was that old. I was working there in the 45, right after World War II, 45 to 48, when I graduated from high school. But we sold records. We sold that's when vinyl records came out. We had the old 78s before that. Vinyl records came out. Tape recorders came out. Wire recorders. Some of you may not even remember those. TVs came out. We sold all that kind of stuff. And gosh, and when I saw that, I thought, oh my goodness, there it is. And so that's an example of that. And now this was my dad that I typed in, Eldon Snow, and over, if I move this over, this magnifier is still on. This is the one that I'm looking at there. Let me now these were my dad with city directory things. Let me type in up here. This is the place you type it in. I'm gonna type in my own name, Donal. Nope, I gotta get my fingers in the right place on the keyboard. Donald Snow directory. Okay, now what's happening here are these are pictures. These are directors that mention me specifically, and I've got a code here that a system that I use to write the information so the titles show up correctly. As I scroll over, you'll see different sorts of things. Now this was not a city directory. That's a picture. We did a ward directory of our church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints at Stanford when I was a graduate student at Stanford. That's my wife, Diane. That's me. And there's our two kids. Don Jr. was our oldest son. And then he was born in 1960. And there's our daughter, Linda, and she was born in 1962 while we were at Stanford. That was not a city directory. That was just happens to be in the same collection because of it's a directory. It was a ward directory. But as you look through all these things, you click on click on this one so that we can go over to the right and see what it looked like. This is what that one is. It's my name in the U.S. directories, city directories. I think this was from, I'd have to look back to see, but I think this is from Ancestry. And so it gives information about where my name occurred in different directories. There's our address, 3212 Mojave Lane. That was our old address where we used to live in Provo, in Indian Hills, if any of you know your way around Provo, and so on. Here's a directory. This is a piece of a directory that things were in. So you begin to see what the benefits are of these things, and you can look and see what each one of these are. This is something else that's well, this was something about another type of a directory that was, the PATH users group. Oh my goodness, that was our Utah Valley Technology and Genealogy group. That was 1996 on that one, on some kind of a directory of list of the things. Now, those are just some examples of what you can do with these things. Let me close that and get back to let's see the examples here. Now, we could take time. What time is it? I turned my clock off because
25 after.
oh, okay. So we only got a couple of minutes, and I want to leave enough time for you to ask questions. I was going to show you the Internet Archive, um, and show you how to find stuff there. But on Internet Archive, go to texts. You can go to texts, or you can go to the website, past websites, or you can go to publications, or you can go to music, or you can go to TV shows and so on. Go to texts and type in a city directory, and you'll come up with all kinds of city directories. And if you can narrow it down by searching, you can search, because they've all been PDF'd, and Internet Archive has a way of actually search for name. You don't even have to know which one. Type in the name, and it'll tell you this name occurs in all of these, and you can narrow it down by place, by location, and so on. So it's got just bunches of stuff. Ancestry has lots of collections of these things. MyHeritage has a lot of city directories, and they're not, the city directories are not limited to just the U.S. There's, on the link on my notes, there's the University of Leicester in England has a major collection of city directories for the UK. And on there's a link for German city directories and so on. So they're not limited to just separate places. Now, let me turn off that magnifier so that it doesn't bother you so much. That's the examples and the demos. We've looked at some of these things, but not very many of them to see what's going on with it. Now, just as a quick summary of what we've talked about in city directories, we talked about what they are, that they were essentially telephone books before there were telephones. And in a sense, telephone books are city directories too. That's another whole class. You can find lots of city directory, lots of phone books, which are really worthwhile to keep track of old phones. And many of them have been PDF'd and are available. We looked at some examples of them. We've seen some sources of them. And the conclusions are that there are lots of things that you might find for yourself. Where have you lived? Where did your parents live? And I find that my dad lived besides in St. George and California, he lived in Salt Lake City for one year. I don't know why, but I did not know that. But I found him in a city directory living in Salt Lake City. And I found him up in Idaho Falls. I knew he'd gone up there just before the First World War, and that's where he met my mom. He was then in the military service in the Army in the First World War. And then when he came back, he went to dental school in Los Angeles and wrote my mom and said, come on down and we'll get married. So she got on a train and they went down to Los Angeles. She went down, met him down there, and they were married in Los Angeles. And so I grew up in LA. Anyway, that's a summary of what's going on now. Now, have any of you got any, I know we went over this pretty fast, but have you got any questions or comments or anything that you want to bring up before we finish up? And if you do, just unmute your mic or Gerhard, if there's anything on Facebook, let us know.
There are none on Facebook at this point in time. I see that Yvonne has her microphone unmuted. Did you have a question or comment, Yvonne?
No, I finally got the volume up. I couldn't hear you for a little while, but I finally got it on. I changed computers. I appreciate your help or your advice, John.
Okay. Well, if you try to type it, start with your own name and find where you lived on some of the earlier places, and then your parents' names. And this is genealogy stuff, but not way back in our ancestors years ago. But it's getting stuff that we can pass on to our kids and our grandkids so that they'll know what's going on. Any other questions? Any other comments that anybody has? And if you're watching this 6 months from now, if you want to write me, there's my email address at the bottom. I'll try and answer your question then. But if there's anything else right now, go ahead and ask it. Okay,
I don't
and
see anything else, Don.
okay, if there isn't, well, I appreciate you being with us today. I try to hold these to just about a half an hour, since somebody said the mind can absorb no more than the seat can endure. And I think that's about the way it goes. So half an hour classes seem to be enough to get you started, give you some ideas. So there's the date today. This is the 19th of April of 2023. And our class has been on city directories, and I'm Don Snow, and Gerhard Roof has been our host. And our class next month, the middle of May, will be, it's actually the third Wednesday in May, will be on books online. And so if you're going to be with us, we'll see you then. And in the meantime, thank you for watching. We're grateful to have you with us.